because you can't fake recovery. Little did I know that that was one of my biggest problems, was anger. Because, you know, I'm a thug. That was my mind frame. I'm a gangster. I was sick and tired of living that life, and I wanted something different.
I met David Thomas a while back. It's been over, I guess, 2 years ago. And I started getting letters from the county jail because I had another guy that I helped, and his name was Taylor White. And Taylor White was, he ended up going back to jail, and I guess him and David were sharing, were sillies. And so they're sillies at the Oklahoma County Jail, and he said, hey, you need to call this guy Joe Pello. And man, if you want help, you really want to change your life, call him. And so I started getting these letters. And, you know, I get letters all the time, and a lot of people never follow through. And then they started finding a way to call me. And so, and then I got a call from it's actually David's fiance now, his girlfriend, and she says, is there any way you can help him? He's an amazing guy. And of course, I always say they're amazing, but man, it's so cool because, you know, it's a process. You know, finally, you know, his court-appointed attorney didn't work out. He kept on, I'd go down there and he wouldn't even show up, so I couldn't get in to see him. So finally we got an attorney, Bo Williams, helped us get in to have a visit with David. And I was like, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into? I mean, of course, he's just covered with tattoos. He's just, you know, shared a little bit of a story, and he had a rough life, a really rough life.
Well, my name is David Thomas. I am client number 998 at Rob's Ranch. And I have a long history with drugs and alcohol. I was born this November 13, 1979 in Amarillo, Texas, to a drug-addicted mother and a father that didn't want me. I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. My family, my grandfather, all of us in my family were criminals. Long line of criminals. I went to prison for the first time when I was 13, was discharged when I was 15 and a half, where I graduated high school. That was what the judge sentenced me to, was incarceration until completion of high school. After that, it was pretty much just a never-ending series of incarcerations, drug addictions, different things like that. I mean, that was the only life that I knew. So that's what I did. Around about the time I was 16 years old, I got introduced to my drug of choice, which is methamphetamines. And it literally took control of my life. It took over everything that I was, did, thought, and acted. And unfortunately, I was given, you know, the keys to the kingdom at a very young age. My family was manufacturing meth and trafficking it across the countries. So that's what I did. I picked up in their footsteps, and I just let it consume my life. Flash forward, you know, quite a little bit later, 2004, 2005, incarcerated again. I caught a case in 2004 with Beaver, Oklahoma that ended up ultimately giving me 10 years. I discharged that in 2016 and ended up right back on the streets. Ended up right back into my addiction because that's what I knew. That's the only thing that I knew. I was homeless. I got out of prison. I was homeless on the streets of Oklahoma City. I tried to go to a sober living house, but you know, the dope dealer was on the couch when I walked in the door from getting released from prison. My $50 check went straight to him, and I was high by the end of the day. But that wasn't nothing new because I was high the whole time I was in prison. Drugs was such a part of my life that I didn't know how to do anything else. I caught a case that I didn't know I was catching. This was kind of the turning point of my life right there. I caught a case I didn't know I was catching. I was unaware. I ended up doing a burglary too with a lady that she told me that it was her property. And I went in there, I got it. She was standing there with me. I caught that case, went back to Oklahoma County, and I've always been real spiritual. I used to say what we call thug prayers when I was in the streets. I always knew God was there. I knew that there was a higher power. I knew that there was something else out there. So I always would say, thug prayers. God, let me make it home tonight. So I've always been a real big, I love God. He changed my life. I have to give him all the credit. He opened the doors that led me to where I am today through one of Joe Pello's prior residents, Taylor White. He heard me in county jail, and I'm a very spiritual person. I love God, like I said, and I'm always trying to tell people that there's a better way, even though I didn't know that there was a better way. I mean, I didn't know how to live that better way. He told me that I should write a letter to Joe Pello, and that's what I did. I wrote Joe Pello a letter, basically telling him who I was, what I had been in there for, what I wanted out of life, and it's just amazing the way that all worked out. Through sitting in county jail, not knowing anybody, Taylor White comes in. I stick up for him one time. Next thing you know, I'm writing this letter to Joe Pello. God's opening doors that allowed Jim Riley Outreach to step into the picture along with an amazing attorney, Bo Williams, that stood beside me in court, got me out of jail on bond to go to Rob's Ranch. And this was a complete shocker to me. I did not know I was going to Rob's Ranch. I was under the impression that I was going to be getting released to come to the Pello program. But Jim Riley and God had bigger plans for me. So sitting there with the judge, I go out there to the Rob's Ranch. That's where my life changed. And it's continuing to change today. I didn't have a problem with anger. I didn't have a problem with myself or my past, or I didn't have a problem with anything else. If I could just learn how to live in society, that would be okay. Little did I know at that time just how much everything that I had done in my life was pretty much just a cover-up for all the pain and the hurt that I had been through earlier. Rob's Ranch helped me forgive myself. It helped me learn that there's a better way of life and that it's okay to not be okay. That through, the right guidance and mentorship, that you can go on, no matter who you are, no matter how you live your life, no matter what you do, if you put in the action and you put in the work, and you just follow the simple suggestions and the simple things that people are trying to tell you that have done this thing, man, it's amazing, the life that I have today. And none of that would be possible without Pello Outreach or Rob's Ranch. I think that the perfect combination, when God set all this in motion, it's the perfect combination. And I say Pello program because that's who saved my life. That's where I was. And that's where I am today. I've transitioned from here August of last year. I now live at home with my family, my new daughter, 9 months old, Neve Page, which I love extremely. Most of my time goes to them. It's crazy the way life has worked out for somebody like me. When Joe came and he was talking to me in the county jail when all this was starting, and before they even knew that they wanted to even take the chance on me, he asked me, he said, well, what can we do for you? Because I was looking at 30 years. And they were pretty much, they wanted to know, well, why are you wanting to do recovery now? I'm 38 years old. Why do you want to do recovery now? I've never wanted to do it before. I always knew what I was going to do. I always knew that I was going to go back out there, and I always knew that I wanted to go back to drugs. I have a lot of tattoos, and a lot of these tattoos are meth related, because that's what my life consisted of. That's what my whole world was. was methamphetamines, the production of the, the self-gratification of the power that it brought. I was involved with gangs at a really young age, which molded my life, molded my values, my outlooks on things, the way I dealt with people and situations. I learned at Rob's Ranch that anger and aggression and that intimidation are not ways to live your life. That you can't go through and be a productive individual in this world using those tactics to get what you want. I didn't understand that until I was, sitting at the table with Bruce Kopp. And I mean, he literally pushed my buttons to the point where I'm crying, tears just coming down, and I'm like, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. Little did I know that was one of my biggest problems, was anger. Anger at myself for the things that I had done, for the time that I had wasted. Anger at the world for not giving me a fair shake, because, I was entitled to things. I was David Thomas. I was entitled to certain things. And I wasn't, and that's hard truths that I had to come to accept, was that, you're not promised anything in this world, and that anything that's worth something takes true dedication and true work. And you can't fake it. I always hear these people say, fake it until you make it. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in it. Because you can't fake recovery. You can't fake spirituality. You can't fake digging in and putting in the work and letting go of the stuff that's holding you down. You can't fake that stuff. You can sit around and you can absorb and you can listen, but you can't fake recovery. And, you're either in it or you're on the ledge and you're going to relapse. It's simple as that. It's two things. Unfortunately, here recently we lost a very good friend that's touched me pretty hard. He played in my transition, and it's just a matter of time before the addiction takes you if you don't take the steps to keep on your medication, so to speak. They say that addiction is a disease. Well, if I have a disease of cancer or AIDS or anything else, I have to take my medication daily. Recovery is my medication daily. The meetings that I go to, my family, the program that I've set in place, and the guidance that I've had has just given me a whole new life. The spirituality that I gained at Rob's Ranch gave me the depth that I needed to make recovery stable in my life. Because without God, there is nothing else. Without some form of higher power, without my higher power, which is Jesus Christ, it's all moot, because there's no purpose. I mean, without something that you're living up to, without a new set of standards, without a new set of guidelines, without a new view of life, the only thing that I was left with was a meth-induced haze of what life was supposed to be like, what I thought life was supposed to do for me, and what I was needed to do for other people. And that was one of my biggest problems, was an undying sense of loyalty. I remember I tried to get out one time and I couldn't, because I had 5 people that I was running with that I was really close to, that I couldn't let them stay in the streets and me go on and do something else. Because I loved them so much that I was willing to sacrifice myself, and ultimately I did. I ended up going to prison for 54 months while 4 co-defendants went home. And that was due to me testifying on their behalf, saying that everything was cool, saying that I did everything. And that was the hardest lesson of my life that I ever learned. The fakeness that is in that world, the false glamour that they entice you with to get back. Because that 54 months, not one of those individuals wrote me a letter, told me thank you, sent me money. They did nothing for me. Today it's completely different. I have real friends that call me up just to, if I post a picture on Facebook, they call me up and they're like, hey man, you look great. God, I can't believe the difference in you. Just true, genuine people that care about you, that don't want something out of you. And that's the biggest thing for me. That's what recovery is so important to me, is because I have real people. I have a real relationship with my wife now. I get to be a father that helps their kids with homework. I took my grandmother to a surgery, and it's just amazing that a person that couldn't even be depended on to go get milk before, am now called upon to take, important meetings and stuff like that. It's just really amazing that I get that opportunity and that I get to be present for my daughter. She's there and she's growing up so fast. I dyed her hair purple the other day. We gave her a little mohawk. And it wasn't because I was on drugs, or it wasn't because of anything else. It was just because it was there and I was having fun with her. And it's just amazing, Before, I would just be high. I'd be running the streets. I wouldn't want a house. I wouldn't want accountability, or I wouldn't want anybody telling me what to do, because, I'm a thug. That was my mind frame. I'm a gangster. I can do whatever I want, when I want, how I want, and nobody can tell me anything. But that's part of the recovery. We have to change everything about the way we talk, think, the people that we deal with, the people that we associate with. I even have to be careful about the music that I listen to. I'm easily influenced. I am one of those people. I'm a severe addict, so I am easily influenced. I shared this out at the ranch the other night that, if I put on Tupac, or if I'm bumping some hardcore rap, man, I just start sagging my pants and throwing gang signs at people for no reason, It's just not the way to live. And so the influences that I have in my life today, I try to keep positive. The people, the places that I go, and it's been so long since I've been down on Meridian that, I'm scared. I know the first time I got out of the ranch, I was driving by there, and then I was just poking out. I was like, man, I used to camp there down by the river. I used to hide out there, and all the people that I used to hang around with and run with. Prison, death, or institutions. It's all that there is in that side of the life. I'm super grateful today for my higher power, for Pello Outreach, for Rob's Ranch, for all the amazing brothers that I have in my life